was a dragon, all scaly and red from the tip of his tail to the top of his head, with talons, long tongue, and needle-sharp teeth. As he flew, his keen eyes would be searching beneath for things he could burn and things he could eat. For his muzzle threw fire with astonishing heat. Now, the thing about dragons, as you may be aware, is that people in general don't know they're there. To them, they're invisible. People can't see these fiery red creatures as plain as can be unless they believe in them, like you and me. Where is Tag's lair, do I hear you wonder? Where does he keep all his treasure and plunder? He lives in a house with David, the brother of Jenny. They live with their father and mother. And in David's bedroom, he lays down his head in a cardboard box with rags for his bed. He lives in a box? A dragon? How's that? Well, Tag is quite small, the size of a cat. So that is how David can secretly care for his pet in his room. His mum's not aware of the presence of Tag. She can't see him at all. To her, he's invisible, not merely small. I need to go shopping, said Mum one fine day. Would you like to come with me or stay here and play? A ride to the town David thought would be fun, so he put down his book and he said that he'd come. On the bus, David smiled as he noted with glee that none of the grown-ups saw Tag on his knee. I must go to the chemist, said Mum, for some pills, but we'll start with the bank to settle these bills. The bank was full up, and Mum joined a long queue, so David looked round him for something to do. He played with the doors, till a customer told him to leave them alone. It was getting too cold. Then he watched where the people came in for their cash. The machine was so fast, it was theirs in a flash. While Mum's queue for the counter was dreary and long. Then David saw something was terribly wrong. Everyone had gone quiet, all staring in dread at a man with a stocking pulled over his head. He would have looked funny, but one thing was no fun. In one hand was a bag, in the other, a gun. The girl at the counter was quaking in fright, with her hands in the air and her face pasty white. "Hand over the cash," said the man in the mask. "Drop it into my bag. That's the last time I'll ask." The girl took some money, but it fell to the floor. From her terrified fingers, the man gave a roar. "In my bag's where I want it, and don't take all day. In a minute, the coppers will be on their way." At the sound of this voice, with its threatening note, Tag stiffened and growled from deep down in his throat. David looked at his pet and came up with a plan, for he had a weapon too, just like this man. In this bank full of adults, his brilliant idea was to play on Tag's invisibility here. He bent, and then keeping his voice quiet and low, he whispered, "Stalk him and let his pet go." Tag Tag circled and landed right next to the thief, and nobody noticed. It beggared belief. A dragon, quite small, but a bright shade of red. In a bank full of people, not a single turned head. Tag wondered what he was expected to do. Should he climb the man's trousers or sit on his shoe? Then he heard with amazement and a dragonly frown a quiet whistle from David that went up and down. This sequence of notes going lower and higher was a signal from David for Tag to make fire. Shoot fire at a person. That couldn't be right. Then the man spoke again, and he sensed the girl's fright. More money, and quickly, 'cause I've got to run. Be sharpish about it. Remember my gun. When he heard the man's voice, evil, cruel, and rough, Tag decided the robber had gone far enough. He made a hot flame that was brilliant and blue. For a moment, he thought to attack the thief's shoe. But by tilting his head just a little way back, he could easily make the white trousers black. There quickly arose a tall column of smoke, and it wound round his head, and it made the thief choke. When he looked down and saw why his trousers were hot, he jumped in the air like a frog that's been shot. He coughed and he sneezed and he let out a shout, then let go of the bag as he beat the flames out. His gun quickly followed and fell to the ground. In a trice, several people had gathered around and wrestled the wicked thief down to the floor. They held him there, much though he'd wriggle and roar. Customers told him they wouldn't release an arm or a leg except to the police. At last the police arrived, sirens a-scream, and they stood there amazed as they took in the scene. A man lying helpless, a bag and a gun. They said they were staggered at what had been done. They clapped on the handcuffs, hauled him to his feet, and prepared to depart to their car in the street. "How did you catch him, may I inquire?" said the policeman. "We pounced when his trousers caught fire." "Caught fire?" said the policeman, his voice full of doubt. "Yes, the thief dropped his gun as he beat the flames out. So then we all grabbed him and held him for you. Just look at his trousers. You can see that it's true." The policemen looked down where the trousers were scorched with big blackened holes, just as though they'd been torched. They shrugged in bewilderment, but they were pleased to collar this thief, whom his victims had seized. They knew he'd be locked up for many a year as the price of their danger and terror and fear. The manager thanked everyone for their aid and asked them to wait for some tea to be made. They brought out some biscuits, and David took 2. But not out of greed, there was somebody who especially liked chocolate biscuits to eat, who'd earned, David thought, a particular treat. He broke one and gave it to Tag as his way of thanking his dragon for saving the day.